Welcome back, Power Strokers. DieselMike here, doing another SuperDuty project on the F-250. So what I'm going to be working on today is this Tailgate Assist by Dee Zee. I'll leave a link in the description where I got this. This is for the 2008-2010 F-250 SuperDuty. And this is the entire package right here. Tools you're going to need for this job, they call for a T50 Torx, and they also call for an M6 Allen wrench. So I have them in a 3/8 inch socket right there. So I will need my 3/8 inch ratchet down here. Also calls for a 13mm wrench and an 11mm wrench. This is all you're going to need for this job. Now the purpose of this is so the tailgate doesn't slam down, because it's a heavy tailgate. When you lift it down, this is going to take this spring shock is going to take a little bit of the weight off. It gets installed right here. We are going to utilize that hole. That's where the Nutsert is going to go into. The spring will come up into here, attach at where the factory strap goes into, and let's get to it. So the first step they call for is to adjust the Nutsert tool, which is this right here. So there's 3/4 inch from the washer, that's from this washer to the head of the bolt. Just going to simply loosen up this nut. And screw the whole mechanism back in. That's 3/4 inch right there. Okay, next we're instructed using an M6 Allen wrench and a 13mm wrench. I'm reading directly from the instructions here. Install the blind nut, that's this unit here, in the opening by the tailgate pivot point. The Nutsert should be tightened at least 9 360-degree turns. Mark one side of the nut, which I did do here, but I did it in pencil, so you're not going to see it. I could see it up close. I did put a little bit of a pencil mark right there. I'm going to keep that in the 12 o'clock position to start. So mark one side of the nut and count the number of revolutions to ensure the correct number of turns. Okay, so with my Nutsert in place and my mark in the 12 o'clock position, we're going to install the M6 Allen in there. Now, we need to note that the nut is going to get tightened. The bolt is going to stay fixed. So in order to do that, you actually want your ratchet in the reversing position so that holds. So as I tighten the nut, that's important. So as I tighten the nut, this doesn't move. Of course, if you don't use a ratchet, then you could just hold it by hand. But I have to put it in the reverse so it stays fixed. So I'm going to get that to the 12 o'clock position. So we start there, and now we're going to count the amount of turns that it takes. That's 1. That's 2. Oh, I feel it's really getting tight now. You know about that 9 turns. Let's get that marked to the 12 o'clock position again, right there. Step 3, apply thread lock to the threads of the ball mount. That would be this guy right here. So I have my own thread locker. I'm not even going to bother opening theirs. Save it for another time. Just put a little bit on here. I guess what they didn't tell you, this needs to come out. So now I'm holding the wrench still because I need to get this out, because that's clearly where it needs to go into. So it comes out, now you just have the Nutsert flush. So that bolt was just there to tighten it down. That's what this whole mechanism was. So a 5/8 inch deep socket works just fine too. So that's what we're going to use for that. So I'm just going to start these threads, make sure we get that going nice and straight to start. Okay, feel a little resistance now. Now I'm going to tighten that down. It's a good idea whenever you're working with these nutserts, go nice and steady, because as it tightens you want to make sure the nutsert isn't spinning. If it is, that means it didn't seat well, but this seemed to have seated fine. That's the ball socket going in. And again, I want to make sure that that nutsert isn't spinning on me. Okay, you can see the ball bolt is still turning, the nutsert is not. And now as it gets tight, I'm just going to snug it up. And now I'm just going to give it a little bit. And that's snug, and I feel if I go any harder, I'm going to start spinning the nutsert, so we're going to stop right about there. Okay, now the next step is simply to remove the strap from the tailgate. Just going to lift up on the tailgate a bit and lower that out of the way. Then we're going to take our T50 Torx. We're going to remove this. And I'll put that off to the side. Insert the bolt back through the hole in the ball mount into the vehicle. Okay, so that's this piece here. And it looks like in the picture they are utilizing the washer that came off. So we're simply going to take that, put it through the hole, and reinstall that right there. Dangling straight down. Try to hold it here so it stays down into the 6 o'clock position. Okay. Step 5, using an 8mm wrench/socket, remove the 2 bolts holding, those are these 2 right here, in place. We're going to have to remove this tail light because we're going to have to get this rubber stop piece out. I'm going to come back to that. I'm losing daylight. I need to cut the lawn, so I want to get that done. For me, I'll be back in a half hour. For you, it'll be about 5 seconds. Okay, I am back. Next step calls for the removal of the tail light, the rear tail light. Go. There's a couple push tabs in there that just need to be pried out. There we go. Once the tail light is off, there's 2 11mm bolts right there that hold on the little rubber grommet. That needs to be removed. I'm going to use an 11mm socket on a 1/4 inch drive. After removing the block, we reinstalled the tail light. So you see there's these little tabs, little push tabs there. There's one on the top, one on the bottom. simply line them up where they belong. Okay, now they're lined up. Push it in until it snaps. Get the factory 8mm bolts. Nice and snug. Clean up years of filth that's there. Moving on to step 7. Install the cable back onto the cable bolt and the larger part of the shock on the ball mount plate. So this is pretty simple at this point. Let's take our cable that we disattached and we slip that back on. And based on this, it looks like the piston goes up top and the fixed part goes down at the bottom. So I'm going to simply take this, you see that's the piston part that pulls in and out, and I am going to take that opening there right over the ball joint and snap it on. Boom. So here's my shock absorber, and I'm going to turn it so my opening is facing toward the ball mount. We're going to give it a good tug, pull on it. Comes out slow and steady until it's about lined up. A little bit more pulling, 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 pulling. And you're going to get it over and press that on. Okay, here you can see it all installed. Piston is somewhat extended with the tailgate in the down position. There is not a lot of clearance between the tail light and that. We are going to see how this works. Okay, and now for the moment of truth. We're going to see if this works, if this is going to be a $30 waste or a total good purchase. Let's see. The tailgate comes up, just as heavy to come up. I wasn't expecting much different there. I hate dropping it, so I'm going to control it the first time because I haven't even tried this. It takes a little bit of weight off. Now let's see. Let's do a full drop. Well, at least I know if I let it go, it's a little safer. Is it worth the 30? You decide. This is a pretty heavy tailgate. I like the idea for extra peace of mind that if it slips out of my hand or if I'm holding something to load up and I have to let it go, it's pretty good. In reality and use, I would probably still let the tailgate come down in a controlled fashion. So, if you like it, 30 bucks on Amazon, a little less. I think I paid 28 and change, shipped to my door. They make it for any application truck. I think it's pretty good, pretty acceptable, what I thought. If you liked the video, please hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time with another project on the SuperDuty. Thanks for watching.